blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me for granted and you know I'm leaving. I'ma take what's mine with the webs I'm weaving. I could take this crowd from seeing to believing. Got a taste for blood and my tongue keeps bleeding. From the words I spit, so sharp, so freezing, so cold. Behold, frostbite they feeling. I could tear you apart or I could go heal them. Don't believe in fate, don't believe in ceilings. I just need a taste and my mind starts feeling. I don't pace myself, I grind on kneeling. Got love.
Welcome to the channel, everyone. Today we're diving back into the world of Gran Turismo 7 on the PS5. I'll be taking on an exciting race using the Thrustmaster T-GT II steering wheel for maximum immersion. Buckle up, because it's going to be a wild ride. On the track today, we'll be up against some serious competition. A Dodge Charger GT, Porsche 911 Turbo, various Corvettes, the legendary Pontiac GTO, the agile Lancia Stratos, and more. Each rival is a powerhouse in its own right, so the stakes are high. Before we hit the throttle, let me introduce you to our star for this race, the Chevrolet Corvette ZR-1. This beast is an icon of American engineering, blending raw power with sleek design. Under the hood, it boasts a supercharged V8 engine delivering jaw-dropping speed and precision handling. This isn't just a car, it's a statement on wheels. Now, let's hit the track and see if the ZR-1 can dominate this fierce lineup. The moment you take the Corvette ZR-1 onto the track, you realize it's not just fast, it's wild. This car has rear-wheel drive written all over it. Every tap of the throttle sends a surge of power to the back wheels, and it constantly feels like it's on the edge of breaking loose. If you're not careful, even a slight misstep can throw you into a tailspin. The handling is sharp, but demanding. It's a car that rewards skill and punishes hesitation. Compared to the other cars in this race, the ZR-1 feels like a rebellious powerhouse. For instance, the Porsche 911 Turbo with its all-wheel drive feels far more stable and forgiving, even when pushed to the limit. The Lancia Stratos is twitchy in its own right, but its shorter wheelbase makes it nimble in tight corners, unlike the ZR-1, which prefers long straights and wide arcs. And then there's the Dodge Charger GT, a muscle car like the ZR-1, but it's heavier, less agile and far more predictable. The ZR-1, on the other hand, is lighter, faster and more aggressive, but also much trickier to control. Driving this Corvette is like taming a wild animal. It's exhilarating, but you've got to stay sharp. Every corner is a challenge, every straight a chance to unleash that monstrous supercharged V8. It's not just driving, it's an experience. Stepping inside the Corvette ZR-1, it's immediately clear that this car wasn't just built for speed, it was built to impress. The interior feels surprisingly modern for its time, with a sleek, driver-focused cockpit that screams performance. The centerpiece is the digital dashboard, which must have been revolutionary back then. The crispness and clarity of the display stand out, providing all the key information you need at a glance: speed, RPMs, and even boost levels for the supercharged engine. It's the kind of tech that made you feel like you were piloting something ahead of its time. The seats are sculpted to hold you in place during those wild corners, blending comfort with practicality. The design isn't just functional, it's stylish, with leather touches and a minimalist approach that keeps the focus where it belongs, on the road. On the outside, the ZR-1's aggressive stance is unmistakable. From the bulging hood that hints at the monstrous power beneath, to the iconic quad tailpipes that growl with every rev, this Corvette commands attention. Even the distinctive ZR-1 badge is a mark of prestige, signaling its place at the top of the Corvette lineup. As for accolades, the ZR-1 wasn't just a car, it was a legend. It set records for top speed, hitting a blistering 180 plus miles per hour, and was often called the King of the Hill. It received widespread praise from automotive enthusiasts and magazines alike, with many dubbing it one of the greatest Corvettes ever built. This car didn't just race. It redefined what American performance could be. Back to the race, and oh boy, this Corvette ZR-1 is giving me a run for my money. It's an absolute beast on the straights, with that supercharged V8 roaring like a thunderstorm. But keeping it on the track? That's a whole different story. As you've already seen, there were a couple of moments where the rear end just let go and I spun right off the road. This car is unforgiving. It demands precision and respect. Every time I push it a little too hard coming out of a corner, the back wheels break traction and I'm sent into an unplanned drift, or worse, straight off the racing line. The competition isn't making it any easier. The Porsche 911 Turbo and the Lancia Stratos are darting ahead with their sharp handling, while I'm here wrestling the ZR-1 like it's a bucking bronco. Every lap feels like a battle, not just against my rivals, but against the car itself. I'm struggling to maintain consistent control, and those slip-ups have cost me precious time. Getting back into the lead isn't going to be easy, but I'm not giving up just yet. This Corvette may be a handful, but when it's dialed in, it's pure magic. Let's see if I can tame this beast and claw my way back into the fight. Here's an interesting bit of trivia about the Corvette ZR-1 that you might not know. When this car was being developed, Chevrolet teamed up with none other than Lotus, the legendary British engineering firm. Lotus helped design the ZR-1's LT5 engine, a 5.7-litre V8 with dual overhead cams, an incredibly advanced piece of machinery for its time. This collaboration brought European finesse to American muscle, making the ZR-1 a unique blend of styles and performance philosophies. And here's something else. This car wasn't just a track star. Back in the early 90s, the ZR-1 set a world record for endurance. It ran for 24 hours straight at an average speed of over 175 miles per hour, covering a whopping 4,221 miles. That's not just fast, it's bulletproof engineering. Even the rear design of the car is iconic. You've got those unmistakable quad taillights, a signature look for the Corvette, and that wide, low stance that tells you this car means business. It's not just a vehicle, it's a piece of automotive history, and driving it, even virtually, feels like stepping into the shoes of a racing legend. So while I'm wrestling with this beast on the track, remember, this isn't just any car. It's a masterpiece with a story to tell, one that's written in speed, records, and an undeniable presence that refuses to be ignored. The Corvette ZR-1 wasn't just a street legend, it also made its mark in the world of motorsport. While the ZR-1 itself wasn't a factory race car, its platform and technology paved the way for some incredible racing machines. One of the most notable achievements tied to the ZR-1 was its involvement in the SCCA World Challenge. Tuned versions of the ZR-1 dominated the series in the early 1990s, showcasing its power and capability on the racetrack. With its lightweight body and monstrous engine, it was a force to be reckoned with, giving international competitors a run for their money in a world often dominated by European brands. But perhaps the most significant racing connection lies in the Corvette racing program itself. The engineering and performance advancements from the ZR-1's era heavily influenced the development of Corvette's GT race cars. By the time Corvette transitioned into professional endurance racing, competing in events like Le Mans, the ZR-1's legacy was written into the DNA of those dominant machines. In many ways, the ZR-1 was a proving ground for what Corvette could achieve in motorsport. It showed that American muscle wasn't just about brute force. It could combine speed, durability, and precision to take on the world's best. And while the ZR-1 itself didn't race at Le Mans, its spirit lives on in the Corvettes that have earned multiple class victories there, cementing the name as a true competitor on the global stage. The Corvette ZR-1 wasn't just a car for enthusiasts. It was a status symbol that caught the attention of celebrities and notable figures who wanted to experience its raw power and exclusivity. One of the most famous owners of a ZR-1 was the late Paul Walker, an avid car collector and star of the Fast and Furious franchise. Walker was known for his deep appreciation of performance cars, and the ZR-1 fit perfectly into his collection of rare and iconic vehicles. Jay Leno, the legendary comedian and host of Jay Leno's Garage, has also expressed his admiration for the Corvette lineup, including the ZR-1. While Leno owns a variety of Corvettes spanning multiple generations, his collection showcases his respect for the engineering and history of the model. The ZR-1's appeal wasn't limited to Hollywood. Many professional athletes and musicians during the 90s were drawn to its combination of cutting-edge performance and American heritage. It became a car that symbolized success, especially for those who appreciated driving something that wasn't just flashy, but truly groundbreaking. Owning a Corvette ZR-1 wasn't just about the car. It was about being part of a legacy. And for these celebrities, it was a way to show that they weren't just buying status. They were buying into a piece of automotive history. Here's something you might not have noticed about this race. The track itself is a key player in how the cars perform. The mix of long straights and tight corners really highlights the strengths and weaknesses of each competitor. On the straights, the ZR-1 is a monster, unleashing all that supercharged V8 power to rocket ahead. But in the corners, that's where things get tricky. The Porsche 911 Turbo, with its all-wheel drive system, slices through them like a scalpel, while I'm over here wrestling the Corvette to stay on the racing line. One moment that stood out was a near miss with the Lancia Stratos. That car is so light and nimble, it darted ahead in a corner where I was still struggling with understeer. It's a classic David versus Goliath moment, except this time, David came prepared with perfect handling. Another fascinating detail is how different the driving styles need to be for each car in this race. The Dodge Charger GT, for example, relies on raw muscle and torque but feels like a tank compared to the ZR-1. Meanwhile, the other Corvettes in the pack are more forgiving, but they lack the raw edge that makes the ZR-1 so thrilling and unpredictable. This race isn't just about speed. It's a chess match. It's about knowing when to push the car to its limits and when to hold back to avoid spinning out. The competition is fierce, and every car brings its own personality to the mix, making every lap feel like a new challenge. Here's something fun to think about during this race. Every car on this track tells a story, not just about performance, but about the era it represents. Take the Dodge Charger GT, for example. It's a throwback to the golden age of American muscle cars, with its big, roaring engine and classic styling. It's like a time machine straight out of the late 60s and early 70s. Then there's the Porsche 911 Turbo, the quintessential German engineering marvel. It's a car that's not just fast, but efficient, a perfect blend of technology and precision. Compared to the Corvette ZR-1, which feels like it's bursting with raw energy, the 911 Turbo is more calculated, like a machine that's been designed to make winning feel effortless. And let's not forget the Lancia Stratos, a true wild card in this race. With its mid-engine layout and ultra-lightweight design, it's more rally car than race car, and it brings a unique flair to the competition. Watching it dart through corners almost makes you forget it's competing against cars with twice the horsepower. This mix of personalities makes the race so dynamic. Each car isn't just trying to win, it's showing off what made it iconic in its time. And the track itself acts like a stage, letting these legends play out their rivalries in real time. Whether it's the brute force of American muscle, the precision of European engineering, or the daring spirit of Italian design, every lap is a celebration of automotive history. So far, breaking into the top three hasn't been easy. Despite the Corvette ZR-1's raw power, those small mistakes early on have kept us from catching up to the leaders. But don't count us out yet. We're still in this race. Every lap is a chance to regain some ground, and I can feel myself getting more in sync with the car as we go. The leaders are still ahead, but we're steadily closing the gap. The Porsche 911 Turbo, that sneaky Stratos, and even the other Corvettes are looking in their rear-view mirrors because they know we're coming. I've dialed in the handling a bit better now, and we're holding steady, finding those perfect lines to shave off precious seconds. It's all about persistence. Even though we haven't cracked the top three yet, the goal is in sight, and we're pushing harder than ever. The race is far from over, and every corner brings us closer to the moment where we'll make our move. Let's see if we can get that Corvette to show its true potential and take the fight to the front of the pack. Something you might not have noticed yet is how this race isn't just about raw speed, it's also about strategy. Every car here, including the ZR-1, has its own unique strengths and weaknesses. The key to winning isn't just about finding the fastest straight line, it's about understanding where each car shines and where it falters. For example, the ZR-1 with its powerful V8 is built for speed on long straights, but those corners? That's where it struggles. The strategy is to push hard on the straightaways, but back off just a bit in the tighter sections to avoid losing control. It's all about balance and knowing your car's limits. Meanwhile, the Porsche 911 Turbo is a master at cornering, and the Stratos is incredibly agile. But they both sacrifice top-end speed to some degree, so the ZR1's strategy is simple. Hold steady in the tight corners, and when we hit the straightaways, unleash all that power to close the gap. It's a chess game in real time, keeping track of where your competitors are strong, where they're weak, and using your own strengths to stay in the fight. So, while we may not be at the front yet, this is all part of the plan. Stay patient, stay smart, and make our move at the right moment. That's how races are won. We've made it to 5th place, and with the race winding down, there's still time to make our move. The leaders are within reach, and that gap isn't as wide as it used to be. With each lap, we're finding a little more speed, pushing the Corvette ZR-1 harder and harder. The Porsche and the Stratos are still in front, but they're not pulling away as quickly as they did earlier. There's still a lot of race left, and every corner counts. The key now is staying focused, avoiding any more mistakes, and capitalizing on the spots where we know the ZR1 excels. We've got the power, the acceleration, and that aggressive edge that the other cars can't match on the straights. It's all coming down to this. I've got to make the most of every opportunity and get the Corvette to its full potential. If we can maintain our composure and continue to close the gap, there's a real chance to push into the top 3. We've still got time to make this happen, and we're not backing down now. And just when I thought we were in the clear, disaster struck. Right before the finish line, I pushed just a little too hard, and the rear end of the Corvette ZR1 kicked out on me again. That spin sent me wide, and before I knew it, I was off the track. Now, we're back down to 9th place. What a blow. It's frustrating, especially after making so much progress, but that's racing. The slightest mistake, and it all comes crashing down. I can't dwell on it, though. The race isn't over yet, and there's still time to make up those positions. But now we've got to fight even harder. I'll have to regroup, stay calm, and push with everything I've got left. Getting back into the top 5 will take everything this Corvette's got, but I'm not giving up just yet. This race isn't finished until we cross that line, and we've still got a chance to recover. Let's see if we can claw our way back. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the race, even with all the ups and downs. It was an intense battle, and while we didn't end up where we wanted, it's all part of the experience. Stay tuned for more races, challenges, and car reviews coming your way. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss any of the action. See you next time.